Welcome back to our Kick Corporate Podcast. I'm Sarah Willis.
And I'm Suzanne Moore.
Yeah, we're back to talk to you again about all of our favorite things about real estate investing and lifestyle and how you can do it too. Today, we are still diving into all things STR because it's still the end of 2025. And if you come to us, we can still help you get a deal done before the end of the year, but you have to act quickly. All about things in today's episode are people who are looking for short-term rentals in some capacity, and we've got some stories to tell you. Things like second chances, lots of timing pressure, and what it actually takes to get an STR deal across the finish line, even when the path is messy.
Yes, so we have a great story of second chances this week, and if you subscribe to our Top Picks email, you will see many times where we'll tell you about a property and, oh, it already went pending, and most people probably think, oh, I lost my chance. It's never going to come back again. And what we always tell you is we are the backup offer queens for a reason, because a deal isn't done until it is closed and recorded. And that is exactly the case for our buyer. It was this deal, she kicked herself because she missed out by one day. Another buyer beat her to an STR eligible duplex in the heart of Bend. She missed it by one day. The offer was accepted and she has been kicking herself ever since. She didn't put in a backup offer, but she did have a Zillow alert. And when that puppy came back on the market one day from closing, when those buyers backed out, got cold feet, who knows, she called and said, hey, am I dreaming or did this just come back on the market? And I was like, oh girl, this is back on the market and we are getting this for you now. And so we put in our offer, we swooped this place up ASAP and she got a second chance. And that just goes to show you all, it is possible to get a second chance. It is possible to get your backup offer accepted. Or if you have Zillow alerts for your favorite properties, pay attention to those things because your dream property that went pending before you got to it might come back on. But these are rare. So this is a really big deal. And we're so excited to bring this across the finish line for her and hopefully get her STR up and running before the end of the year.
I don't know if it's going to happen before the end of the year because she's got to finish it and do some updates. But the second chance thing here is real. She was disappointed, emotional about it to begin with. And now she knows what a good unicorn she has and is moving forward towards the finish line. When it comes to unpermitted STRs or those needle in the haystack type STRs that we talk to you guys about all the time, we are able to protect our clients' interest and earnest money in it being an STR by actually writing into the offer, making closing contingent upon getting part one of your STR permit, which is called the land use permit. And in this case, we wrote this into the offer. The city of Bend tends to move a little bit slower around the holidays, which is when this is being recorded. But what I will say is because we have done this a number of times, because time is of the essence, because our client trusts us, and because she is more concerned with getting this rental up and running as soon as possible, less concerned with actually getting it permitted because she trusts us and the process that it will actually come to fruition. She's likely going to allow this to close even before she's got the part one of her permit done, just because she knows she's working with people who've done this before and professionals. So that was a really fun story. We were a little disappointed as she was the first time she missed it because it really was because she sat around on her hands and didn't do anything about it. She just waited too long, and time is always of the essence in real estate. Just let those words of mine ring through in your head every time you ask yourself if you need to move now. I don't care. The answer is yes.
And I also want to say we've had a few buyers come to us right here at the end of the year, December, looking for unicorn short-term rentals in Bend. And we are really good at pulling this off. We pulled this off for a buyer last year, got him the absolute unicorn in Bend. 3 transferable STR permits in a location in Bend that is absolutely prime. These are infinitely transferable because of the zoning of the property, and we got them for at $1 million. Like it was incredible. We closed before the end of the year. What happened this year, Sarah?
Oh my gosh. So I was out of office, got a phone call, I think on December 2nd, and I giggled and I made a joke like, I bet he's calling to get another STR again this year. And lo and behold, I read my voicemail transcript, and that is in fact what he was doing. And I actually asked him on the phone when I was talking to him yesterday, Suzanne, I said, how come we're just starting this process in December? Why didn't we start this in October? And his answer was personal reasons. He was finishing up another project, and I think had a lot of cash deployed and energy deployed in other directions. But it is a quick turnaround, and I am very motivated, or have been very motivated, to find this person a property, but I'm honestly not sure we're going to be able to. There really isn't. This guy is really stuck on multiple doors and transferable permit. That's really uncommon in this city. We've got a couple of really nice looking turnkey in Tethero right now, but there's a few things about renting short-term rentals in Tethero that are hard to swallow. And we can go into detail with you on that if you want to learn more on another episode. But he's got his hands in another market that he might be able to get a deal done in. But by turnkey, this guy really needs it to be a transferable STR permit. He doesn't have the time to go to the city and start a new permit or wait to transfer an old one. And by turnkey, we also mean like furnished, STR history going. So it's a tall order. And while we're up for the challenge, the inventory literally just doesn't exist at this moment for what he's looking for. So he might be out of luck in Bend this season. But again, just by showing people that we are willing to jump, that we are making an effort, and also just coming back to the table with honesty, saying, hey, tried, but I don't really have anything that's a no-brainer to sell you right now. And I think just that honesty in and of itself will have that person coming back to us year and year again. And now I think we should probably just put it on our calendar to reach out to that person
in October
instead. So a little joke that we don't want to have the same run to the finish line again, but we're ready if needed, if we see the right one come up.
For sure. And big news, you guys, Sarah and I sold our first property in Rhododendron, Oregon, which if you're not from Oregon, you might not know where that is. That is up on Mount Hood. And that is about 2.5 hours away from our lovely office in Bend, where Sarah is sitting. So we sold this to one of our dear friends and lender partners, someone you might see if you come to our meetup events. He is a frequent guest. And yeah, we're just so excited that we got to sell him this property. And what was he after? Bonus depreciation, short-term rental revenue, and a place for himself, his family, and his friends to be able to use when it's not booked. So he started in September. He closed in October. And what has happened since October, Sarah?
It's honestly been amazing. For someone who helps people go through this process day in and day out as part of their job, it hits differently when it's you doing it. So we've had to get over a little bit of an emotional speed hump, but the planning and the execution have been completely on point. In the past 2 months, they've sunk a decent chunk of money into this property, hired contractors, and have done a total remodel. And I was just on the phone with him, staging it at this moment with their stager, and we'll have it rented before the end of the year. So all in the process of about 2.5 months, they've identified their budget, they've made the offer, they've closed on their place, and they have a huge amount of equity already built in this property. And they're about to have what's likely going to be a 6-figure income rental in 2026. Which I think for someone who tends to err on the side of financial modesty and being conservative, he is pretty stoked with the outcome and the transformation. All this to say, it's pretty amazing to see somebody who really has relatively no experience in this arena have executed this so flawlessly by networking, by asking the right questions. And asking for help where needed, admitting where things and where you.
Yes. You all, we are going to wrap this up quickly because Sarah has to go to a couple of properties. That second chance, she's got to go back and help with an STR permit measurement. And we have another buyer that's closing on another great property before the end of the year. So we're going to wrap it up. The themes this week are second chances are real. Do not be afraid of a backup offer or just watching your favorite properties. If they come back on the market, we're the ones that will pounce. The sprint is real, but start early if you can. And the slow burn. If you can start planning early, like June, we can get you pending and you'll have time to get your STR in place before the end of the year. Capture your bonus depreciation, take your huge write-off, and be off and running in the upcoming year.
Heck yeah. So as we've learned with all three of these stories, STR investing is equally as much about emotional management, building our lending and buy box strategy and understanding our options, but we don't panic before you buy. Like, you need to get to that house. You can do your diligence during your inspection periods, and yeah, let it go if you don't like it. But second chances are real, and the investors who plan ahead are the winners. So thanks for hanging out with us again for a quick episode. We'll be back and love to see and hear more from you in the future.
Yes. Thanks for joining the Kick Corporate Podcast. We will see you next time.
Bye.